Hello everybody, it's your boy Alex. Hope you're having a great day. Time is currently, let's check the time, 10:22, and we're going to a nature preserve. It's going to take about 30 minutes or so to get there. So, this is raw, uncompressed footage, action mode 2.8K on the iPhone 16 Pro. Now, we'll be working, I'll be uploading this footage raw. Oops. I'll upload this raw footage, Jesus Christ, to my hard drive, and then I guess you can email it to my girlfriend. Where are you guys coming from? Jesus. What the crap? Can't cross the damn road. Jesus Christ. Okay. Anywho, actually, we do 15-minute segments. I just gotta see how big of a file 15 minutes is. 2.8K is probably 11 or 10 gigabytes. But this is 60 frames per second, so it's ultra smooth. But guys, let me talk really quick. And we'll get started on a conversation about the Bible. Because I love talking about the Bible. The Bible is starting to make no sense to me, no matter how hard I work on and understand the Bible. Now it's just complete gibberish. I'll explain that in a minute, okay? So, I'll see you guys. This is the introduction. See you guys later. Bye. Okay, guys. So now we're gonna be talking about the Bible. So I'm gonna walk to a nature preserve, and we're gonna talk till I reach the bridge. The stop sign at the bridge. And it's a beautiful day. Oh my God, it's absolutely gorgeous. I brought water with me because it's going to be a long walk. But I want to say, guys, the Bible is a little messed up. I just watched a TikTok, which I saved it to my phone. And I'm not going to, well, I'm going to have to say the word because I don't know how to not say it without sounding predatory. But do you know what God condones? He condones slavery. He condones the R word. R-A-P-E, rape. I hate to say it, but I had to say it. But he condones a lot. He tells soldiers in war to go practically harass, kill all the males. I've seen Leviticus. In the Bible, I don't know where it is, but somewhere in the Bible. I've seen it a million times. I've heard it told a million times. He sugarcoated it in Sunday school. But like, now you're an adult, it's about time that people start waking up. So I'm not gonna, unfortunately, I'm not trying to trigger anyone, but this is the hardcore facts about the Bible. I'm not a pastor, so I don't study the Bible, but I've had the Bible shoved down my throat for 21 years. I was baptized into multiple denominations of churches. Technically, I'm a Lutheran, but really, I'm an atheist at this point. It's too much to understand. So if you guys ever read the Bible, there's an important distinction to make. And I get sometimes it's not correct. The Bible may be symbolic or things. But if you look in history, the Bible, and I've talked about this to my mom. Ooh, train coming? Where's the train? I heard a train. Okay, there's no train. But if you go through Greek mythology, you go to I think it's Indian mythology. Not Indian as like African Americans, India. There's mythology there. The Bible is just a collection of myths. Not about Jesus. Jesus was a real guy. I'm not doubting Jesus was real, but some of his miracles, I think, are not true. Because you would think that... Oh, there's a train. It's going so slow, Jesus. Oh, another train. 2 trains, wow, crazy. But the Bible just has a bunch of myths. Like, there's no confirmation. There are no data records. I guess data records weren't really a thing back then in the ancient world. But, like, help me make sense of why, like, 10,000 soldiers fell on the battlefield. How do you know 10,000 fell? Did you count each body? Did you have an estimate? What about 10,571? Like, why 10,000? Like, what's the significance of 10,000? Is that a symbolic number? Or is that a literal number? And then some of the stuff that just, like, that God says in the Bible is so bad. He's like, I'm a jealous God. Yeah, we get you're a jealous God because you killed all the other gods. And you killed all the people that worshipped other gods. So, like, that makes no sense. And then there's the battle in the Bible about Christians in general. They're like, God gave us free will. Yeah, free will to do what exactly? Worship him? Because if you worship a guy that murders people, condones rape and slavery, that's not a God I would want to worship. I would rather stay far away from the Bible, never touch it again with a 10-foot pole, than actually try to understand that God is a loving God. Because it's like baptism. You get baptized. Some people get baptized. Not everyone gets baptized. I get that. Some people, when they're adults, they get baptized. But most of the time, you're a child. You're a baby. You can't consent to putting water on your head and saying you're a Christian. Like, what is the point of that? Like, don't you think it would be formal consent? The parents can consent. But the baby that's being baptized can't. I guess sometimes they cry because it's cold. The water's cold. I remember my baptism. It was cold. But it's not fair to force kids to read the Bible. It's not cool at all. It doesn't make any sense because if you want kids, I want them to be like role models, but the Bible demonstrates even in the Old Testament, they were not the kindest people. That's why God destroyed the world in the flood. Well, how do we know? I guess there's geographical evidence that the flood happened because certain things happen. I don't really cover that topic very often, but I should try to do some research. But like, what I'm really trying to get at is the fact that like slavery was always a thing, always has been, and I guess in this day and age, always will be. And there's no way, like, if a God really saw what was happening behind the scenes and said, oh, this is an evil world, and he destroyed it once, and he promised not to do it, then why is there flooding? Why does it rain to the extent that these things become overwhelmed? Why does it happen? Why are there hurricanes? Why are there weather patterns that make no sense? Because if God so loved the world, he wouldn't flood it. I guess sometimes you can't control the weather, but if God was the one that created heaven and created the earth, he would create a system where it doesn't flood and people don't die or lose their homes. Because that's just asking for people, that people have a strong foundation. I had a very strong foundation in my faith, but I fell away. Not because I wanted to, but because the Bible, as I grew up, Made no sense. It repeated itself every single year. Heard the same story about the Passion. Heard the same story about the Eucharist, which is the body of Christ. Body of Christ. And the wine, the blood of Christ. Like, that's crazy. Like, that would actually get you into an insane asylum if Jesus came back. He would absolutely be put into an insane asylum. Or even murdered if he came back. Like, there's no second coming. I don't know why people in the Bible thought they saw heaven coming to earth. Because I don't see heaven coming to earth. I see hell coming to earth. Hell is upon us. Not politically. I'm not speaking politically. Just socially. People are just absolutely out for vengeance. I've seen violence. Like, back in 2024, Instagram went rogue. You guys remember that incident where Instagram just showed people getting murdered, shot, killed, all that crap? And that was because Facebook didn't know that it was a bad situation. And they shut it down, they fixed it. But that still scared the crap out of me. Because, like, I did not consent to seeing people killed. It was definitely not interesting. Definitely not appeasing. And I did not like a single video that would indicate that I wanted to see that. That's what really pisses me off. So people can, like, another thing, I'll talk about this later, but on part 2. But I think a thing that's really important to understand is that the moment cameras were invented, miracles stopped happening. I'll talk about that in the next video because it's important to understand that like Padre Pio, whatever his name is, the priest that got the stigmata, the wounds of Christ, if you guys know what that is. I already love the stigmata. But like St. Francis of Assisi, my patron saint, got the stigmata, but his body is gone. So we have no physical evidence that these people have gotten the stigmata. But we have one picture, a couple pictures actually, 4 or 5, maybe 10 photos of Padre Pio having wounds on the middle of his left and right hand. We don't see his feet, we don't see his side, where the nails are supposedly been hurt. But that's another thing that contradicts the Bible. Because I don't think, and I've seen videos and doctors have talked about this to some extent in the Bible on YouTube, that he had to be crucified on his wrist, not on his hands. His hands, if he was physically being held up by his hands, he either did not weigh a lot, or his hands were indestructible, because the bones and the muscle would just tear. And that's what I don't understand. Padre Pio had the stigmata, but it's on his hands. How is that possible? It defies logic at this point. So I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day. My name's Alex Reitz, and you're listening to Bible Contradictions. Bye. Okay, so back at it again. So now we're going to talk about miracles. There were some situation in a church in Mexico back in the day, 1900s, it was from Mary, the mother of Jesus. Mary, the mother of Jesus, came to, I forget the story. It was in my religious textbook way back when I was in middle school. And it was like, this woman prayed for roses to grow in the middle of winter. Yet a rose grew. And then it went to a church that was built to Mary. And stuff like that. I don't remember the story, but another thing is that Like, I think the major one that I've read in articles, 2 articles, when I was younger, my mom covered it for me. She helped me understand it. Was the Mary came to a couple boys during World War II. It's a very famous story, very famous if you're religious. It's like one of those like, oh my God, Mary's real. And there's a boy and a girl that hung glasses. And they were told to pray for all the soldiers in World War, I think it's World War I, World War II, I don't remember. But I don't remember because I didn't care. But I remember it. And then they told someone, and apparently the word spread like wildfire, and the site became sacred. It was like an olive tree or something like that. I don't know the story. I'm just going off of what I remember. I could be completely wrong, so just search it up. Was it Guatemala? No. It was Guadalupe? No. I don't know. I forget where. It was somewhere very maybe in the Northeast, maybe in the Midwest. But it was not in the U.S. It was somewhere else. Maybe France, Italy, Spain. I don't know. But then they claimed that a bunch of cameras were rolling or photos were taken, and they claimed to see Mother Mary. Now these are black and white photos, so I take those with a slight grain of salt, because photos were not very common back then, and if you took a picture, it would take a while to process it. So anything could have happened in this time that the shutter was clicked and the sky changed. And they said the sky danced or changed colors. There's no video evidence of that. Because it's all black and white. It could have been a cloud blocking the sun and changed the color from black to white. I mean, from white to black. And there was no colors, and there was no one really doing anything at that moment. They were just waiting for something to happen. And maybe something did. I don't have proof. But I've looked into it, and I don't think that really happened. Like, they took pictures. I get the pictures, but where's the Blessed Mary? Why does she have to perform a miracle? I thought we were all focused on Jesus, not Mary. Like, Jesus was one that performed miracles. Mary was just there for the fun. Like, she didn't perform any miracles, but she was also human. So I guess she couldn't perform miracles, but she asked during the crucifixion, she prayed to God so she could feel her son's pain while he's being crucified. Like, why would you ask for that? And that makes no sense. I get you want, but I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy that's being crucified to feel their pain. No one does. No one wants to see that or feel that. Oh my God, no. So it makes no sense. There's really no sense, and there's no biblical evidence that Mary felt what Jesus felt. It's all in the Bible. It's all in the Passion of Christ. It's all in that, but it's not biblically told. You would think that'd be in critical detail, that Mary felt Jesus' pain. But no, it's not mentioned anywhere in the Bible. And if it is, maybe I'm reading the wrong version of the Bible. But there's so many different versions that I wouldn't be surprised if there is a version that says, oh, Mary felt Jesus' pain. Like, no, I don't believe that. I'm sorry, but you're actually insane if you think that it would feel good or you want to suffer with your son to see him die. I don't understand that. Like, if he died, does that mean your pain goes away because he's no longer feeling it? Like, what does that mean? And if you do feel what he feels, you would have died too. If he died, then you would have died because that's what he experienced. He experienced death. So why didn't Mary die on the scene if she was supposedly going to, what's it called? She was supposedly going to suffer for her son. I get it's your son and you gave birth to him, but technically, you didn't. Well, I guess you did. There's no physical evidence. But, like, I don't understand how a virgin, like, wouldn't that hurt more than doing the deed? Like, Joseph probably wanted to do it with Mary because they were married. And they wanted kids, but Joseph never got the chance. So poor Joseph never got laid. He probably wanted it, or he probably did it. And they just covered it up because Joseph is not in the Bible. Like, I'm not saying he raped her, but maybe he did do the deed with her. And Mary just doesn't recall because she's asleep. And again, she consented because it's her husband. But, like, I don't know the story. There's so many questions I have about the Bible. And it makes no sense about what's more important. Like, getting the articles or detail or understanding that Jesus was born. An angel of the Spirit of the Lord. So God impregnated human beings. That sounds like Zeus. Sounds like Zeus a lot. In the mythological world of Greek and Roman myths, Zeus often fucked people. He would come down as a man, masculine as ever, and he would fuck women. I read that in a Greek mythology book, and it made no sense. So I think, like, the story of a virgin birth is not true. We'll work on that later. I'm gonna head back now. Sometime I'm gonna drink some water and then head back. Bye. Okay, this is 4K 120, so it's gonna be a bigger file, but that's okay. Guys, you know what I was thinking? I know I do it so boringly, but I don't mean to, like, bore anyone to death. But I was thinking, would anyone want to see me dressed up in a worm costume? It's coming today. My girlfriend got me a costume for shits and giggles. And I'm more than willing to do it. I'm gonna actually actually do it. I want to make you guys laugh. So if you guys want to see that, please comment on the side. And I will definitely post the videos if my girlfriend films it. I just don't want to rip the costume because I was going to do a worm crawl across the crosswalk, but obviously it looks cement, so obviously you can't use it, which is fine. So if you guys are thinking about seeing that, let me know, and I will gladly do it. I gotta head back because obviously it's almost 11. I got an extra hour. I got an hour to get back, so it's gonna take like 20 minutes. So let me know what you guys want me to do with the worm costume, and I will gladly do it. As long as it's appropriate. No twerking or anything. Actually, I will twerk. I don't know how you twerk in a worm costume. Just move the tail around, I guess. I don't know. It's like a dinosaur costume. It's very funny. It's an adult, so I don't know how that's gonna work. But at first, when my girlfriend first told me about that, I was like, shit, what should you do, fart in the wind thing and kill me, gas me? That's all I see, like people just fart spread, and then person like ends up like gagging and throwing up all that crap. So that was when Family Guy was doing crap farts in Peter's little underwater scuba diving kit. So I don't really find it funny. I think it's funny to some degree, but like if it's hurting someone, it's not funny anymore. So that's what I thought. That she said no. So I'm really glad that she doesn't want to do that, because I don't want that to. No, I'm not. No. That's just unappeasing, and I will like, I don't know, piss off. So no, I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna head back. I'm just gonna stop at the stop sign. I'll stop filming at the stop sign. I'm gonna drink some water, actually. Let's just drink some more. Stop here. Ugh. Okay, so we are just gonna take a quick detour, and we're gonna stop for a second to get my flavor packet, get it up and running. Put a 5, yeah, put a 5. That should be good. That should be a good setting. So it's perfect. That's all we need to do. Just a quick sip of water. And we'll resume our trip, and we'll be talking about files. I know it's boring to most of you, so you don't have to watch that part, but just get past it. And I'm going to talk about gigabytes, terabytes, megabytes, kilobytes, megabytes, terabytes, petabytes, crap all like that. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Okay, so flag. Okay, sorry. So guys, I will tell you guys, if you ever work on files, if you're a content creator, you need to work on files. You need to see how long a process takes to upload. Seconds, megabytes per second, gigabytes per file, terabytes per storage, and petabytes for long-term storage. So here we go. So I just filmed probably about 6, 7, or maybe even 8, because it's such a high resolution video. So I'll see the file at the end of this video. If I do this, I'm actually gonna film today on Rich Vista, so I'm gonna do a short video, but I'll do a longer video. I should put on action mode because I can't stabilize this footage. Okay, that's better. That should work out. Stabilization is not that great on the iPhone. They're still working on it, but this isn't like a GoPro where it has an internal stabilizer. This is sensor stabilizing. So guys, if you have an iPhone, like I'm filming on my iPhone right now, it has a Type-C. I have an iPhone 16 Pro, and I have a hard drive, 2 terabytes. Now it's 1.7 terabytes of available storage. I haven't used a lot of it. Used about 100, 200, 300 gigabytes. 200 gigabytes. About 200 gigabytes. And I'm also filming for iCloud storage, which is on the family plan. And I am the one with the most storage. But that makes sense because they took my GoPro away. So, Vista took my GoPro away. They wanted me to give it to my parents. Hopefully I get it back soon. Because I don't want to film on my phone. I got plenty of storage, 2 terabytes. But I take out almost 380 gigabytes of family storage. So it's crazy to think that it's worth the price my parents are paying for it, thank God. But like 2 terabytes with 4 members, that gives you 250 gigabytes for 1 terabyte. So it's 2 for 6, 500 gigabytes per member. 5, 10, 15, yeah. 512 gigabytes per person. That is not a lot. I guess it's a lot if you use a GoPro. It's about 8 hours of footage. But I film now with the resolution I film in on the GoPro. I changed my settings. The file size was ridiculously long and it took forever to upload. It's 2.7K, 240 frames per second. Now I get that's a big file, but it's relatively small because the resolution and the bit rate are relatively small. 600, it's about 600 megabytes per minute, 1.2 megabytes per, 12 gigabytes per hour, and about 60 megabytes per second. 2.7K, 240. Now I get that's also extremely fast frame rate. So I get that. I do it because I can only slow down my footage so much. 1/32 of a second, which is super fast, super slow. But if I want to do a burst slow-mo on the GoPro, I have to do 720p, 400 frames per second. And that I can slow down drastically. And then 400 frames per second for 24 frames per second playback. That's like 4 minutes of footage. But you can even slow down even more on the GoPro app. But the thing is file sizes versus quality. Because 720p is the bare minimum for resolution. If I got the Mission 1 Pro, which I was tempted to buy, I would have I would have 1080p HD 960 frames per second. That's incredibly slow. So I get, and also shoots 8K 60 frames per second, maybe 30. I think it shoots 8K 60, which is amazing. It's great quality. But you guys have to understand the file sizes, because some people don't pay for iCloud storage. And I get that because it's expensive and it's just a subscription. What I was thinking is like, why, and this is something I've fought and people have fought a long time for, is why in the span of 20 years did Apple, Samsung, Google, why did they all have to make monthly subscriptions? If you pay for something, you should get it. If I'm paying for 2 terabytes of iCloud storage, I better get 2 terabytes of storage and not, I should pay you once and get the service. It's all about the money, guys. It sucks. But 2 terabytes, that's 2,048 gigabytes. Or 2,000 gigabytes if you're doing binary. But decimal gives you exactly 2,048 gigabytes. And that's about, if you did a 4K video, 30 frames per second, like my average frame rate on the GoPro back in the day, that was about a 10-minute video. That's about 9 gigabytes. So that's like 0.3% of 2 terabytes. I'm just rounding up to Not even 0.3, 0.03%. And if you use the iPhone 16 Pro like I do, there really is no limit to the file sizes, but I can use ProRes, but I don't have an SSD to transfer the bit rate and all that. It's just like 2 gigabytes per second for a video like that. It's crazy big. But, and the best part about the iPhone, and that makes it outstanding to the GoPro, except for the Mission 1. The GoPro I have is not superior. So, well, it's superior in stabilization, really not. Is that the Mission 1 takes 50 megapixel photos. Now, those are relatively compressed, so it's not raw images. But on the iPhone 16 Pro, 16, 17 Pro Max, all that crap, and I'll do on the 18 Pro Max in the future, this year, is 48 raw megapixel photos. And the files can be anywhere from 100 megabytes to 50 megabytes, depending on lighting conditions and file sizes. So you're paying for 2 terabytes, you can take up to like 100,000 photos, 200,000 photos of raw image, and still have plenty of storage left over. And the best part, guys, is that if you have a hard drive or an SSD, SSDs are better than hard drives, but they're more expensive, so I get that. A 2 terabyte Western Digital hard drive cost $80 back in 2023, 2021. And I just got USB cable to transfer the media to my hard drive directly. And how you do that, it's so easy. If you have an iPhone, plug in your hard drive via Type-C cable. It costs like $8 on Amazon, the cable. You get like 1.5 feet long, so it's not like your hard drive's a million miles away trying to transfer the media. So, but the iPhone download speeds on the Wi-Fi at Vista, 100 to 120 megabytes. That's 0.1 gigabytes. 0.1 gigabytes per second. So every gigabyte, it will take 10 seconds to transfer if the download speeds are consistent. Upload speeds, relatively slow. But download speeds, transferring, I transferred 20 gigabytes on the Vista Wi-Fi to my hard drive. And it took about 2 minutes. 2 gigabytes is 20 seconds, so times 10, that's 200 seconds. So that's about 120, about 3 or 4 minutes. No, 5 minutes. 4 or 5 minutes. So that's great. And I'm here, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.